So on Monday evening, there was this crazy story that came into the news feed of major newsrooms across the world, and that was attributed to this handle called Bloomberg Feed. Remember, it claimed that there was a large explosion outside the Pentagon complex in Washington, D.C., and it said initial report. Now, this is supposedly a handle which has a blue tick. Now, in the olden days, the blue tick was a sign that this was a verified handle, so newsrooms across the world thought that a verified handle was putting out this story, and the story was indeed true. It also had an image showing a large plume of smoke, black smoke, outside the Pentagon building. Turns out that this entire story, and mind you, a lot of newsrooms, Indian newsrooms, international newsrooms, put this story. Some of them published it, some of them took it up on TV channels, saying that, there had been an explosion outside the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C. Now, turns out this entire thing was fake. This image was generated by AI. This is not a real image. It was generated by artificial intelligence. And it also turns out that this particular handle, Bloomberg Feed, has nothing to do with the news organization Bloomberg. This is someone who has just bought a blue tick. Turns out that that entire profile, after that story went viral and it turned out to be a fake, that account itself got suspended by Twitter. Bloomberg Feed, you type for Bloomberg Feed today, 24 hours after this fake story, it says account suspended. Now, it briefly sent out shivers, not just in newsrooms around the world, but also in the stock market. The Dow had fallen briefly basis this story, but it turns out that this was a fake image, an AI-generated image of an explosion outside the Pentagon building. You have major news organizations from the AP to Guardian, NPR, all taking their time and finally coming to the conclusion that this was a fake viral image. But by that time, the damage had already been done. Many news organizations put this out on their Twitter feed, on broadcast, as well as, of course, they published stories. And it turns out it took about half an hour for news organizations to realize that this was a fake Twitter handle and this was an AI-generated image. This, once again, shows you and it throws light on, in this day and age of AI-generated text and AI-generated feeds and AI-generated images, how important it is for news organizations to have A, trusted sources, and B, feet on the ground. Eventually, how this got called out is by news organizations calling their Pentagon reporters and asking if such a thing had happened. And none of the Pentagon reporters were able to confirm that an explosion had happened outside the Pentagon complex, and that's how they discovered that this whole thing was fake. So once again, this is reason enough why you should trust established news organizations who have feet on the ground, who have the ability to verify unauthenticated sources of information. So once again, CNN News 18 was one of the few Indian news establishments, Indian news channels that did not carry this, because our reporters on ground through our affiliate, CNN in Washington, was not able to confirm this. Therefore, we did not put this story out on air. But once again, it highlights the grave dangers that AI-generated images pose to the news world and the importance of having trusted sources and feet on the ground who can verify stories that pop up on fake handles such as this.